Contentness is something that was a completely foreign concept to me for several years. I heard of it, I knew what the definition was, and I know that everybody told me that's what happiness really is, but I just couldn't understand it. Finding complacency in the way that things were just didn't make any sense. My life was nowhere where I wanted it to be. I was nowhere near who I felt I'm supposed to be. There was not a single aspect in my life that I felt confidently content with. And that's how it was for basically my entire life. Sure, there were good times, there were relaxing times, there were areas that I could consider maybe being content in. But those times were always cut short by death or destruction or something else that forced me to go right back into survival mode. And like most people, I tried to find a scapegoat. I tried to figure out a way to explain this, something that I could blame it on that wasn't me. And for a long time, I mistakenly put that blame on God, even though He wasn't at fault for what happened to me. In truth, no one really was, no one really is even still. Sometimes things just go horribly for a long time and you don't even know where you're going. That being said, in those long times where you can't control how well things go, how are you supposed to find peace? How are you even supposed to remotely have an idea of what complacency is when you're too busy trying to survive? And it's like I used to say, I just want a chance to live. I've been surviving, that's why I'm still alive, but I haven't really had a chance to sit down and live. And for several years, no matter who I talked to, whether it was my therapist or a religious figure or someone in my family or someone that I trust, a mentor figure of any kind, I just never got the idea of it. I wanted to. I really wanted to, but I just couldn't fathom just being okay with things, just accepting what is and what isn't. Because at the time, and it's even still somewhat true to this day, what was is pain. Having to watch a lot of the people I've cared about die, losing seemingly everything that I had worked my hardest for. And even when I managed to get to a spot that I was comfortable with, it didn't last longer than a couple of days before everything came crashing down again. And if you want to get on the topic of what wasn't there, I mean, what was even there to compare to? At least that's how it felt in my head. No major accomplishments, my projects still sitting, collecting dust, no career, or at least a career that isn't going anywhere, and ending up in more of a dead end every time I try my hardest to get out of the hole. Like I was just some big cosmic joke, just sitting here facing all the world's problems for some being above me to laugh at. But in any case, those feelings, while they are valid in a way, that's not the reality of everything. Ever since my mother passed away, I've been trying to find what contentness is. It didn't matter what people told me, I just had to find it for myself. I read books, I went to therapy. I kept trying to just understand it. And it started a bit slow, and inaccurate. I may or may not have turned to vices that I still struggle with to this day, like everyone else. I may or may not have thrown away plenty of good chances just because I wanted to find this illusion of contentment I couldn't seem to catch. The more and more I obsessed over this idea of contentness, the more unhealthy habits I seemed to make for myself, ignoring major responsibilities that I should have attended to, justifying eating unhealthily because of where I am in my social status, and even justifying my mistreatment of others as purely okay, simply because I was wronged for so long that everyone else deserves to have a little taste. But then one day, someone told me that everything I thought contentness was, it wasn't. It's not ignoring anything. It's just accepting what is. This was something that took a while to sink in because for so long I defined myself by everything that I didn't have, comparing myself to those around me that I looked up to and how much more they had than me. A guy whose only major feat is surviving and having nothing to show for it. That's how I felt. But over the past year of practicing being grateful for something every day, on forcing myself to stop talking negatively about myself and my position, I felt things begin to change. The same horrible things would happen to me over and over again, but I started being affected less and less. Sure, I would have my days where I have a complete mental breakdown, but I'd bounce back much faster. I felt less jaded, I felt less wronged, I felt less lost than I was. And for a while it felt like a void, but I realized that void wasn't actually emptiness. It was just proper contentment. I was so used to having so much pain weighing on my head and my shoulders for so long that I couldn't fathom a world without it. And yes, the pain is still here, but it's so much easier to carry and I barely even notice it anymore. For everything that should have killed me, for everything that has destroyed my life, I have survived and even thrived in areas that other people would struggle to. And it's not that I didn't have any accomplishments, I just didn't give myself the proper praise for them that I should have. For so long I felt that everything good about me was gone, that my home was burned to a crisp and my heart just vanished somewhere else that I would never know where it is. But now I know that home is wherever I am.